The federal Labor opposition under Bill Shorten may be way ahead in the polls. And the latest news poll on Monday, as you know, is an annihilation for the Turnbull government, 54 to 46 to Labor. But this may be an apparition. And the easy ride Bill Shorten has enjoyed as opposition leader may be fragile. Why? Well, serious questions surrounding AWU donations to Get Up in 2005 and to Mr Shorten's 2007 election campaign, donations allegedly made at Mr Shorten's direction, they aren't going away. Last week, the Employment Minister, Michaelia Cash, she was outstanding. She referred the $25,000 AWU donation to Bill Shorten's 2007 election campaign and the AWU's 2005 $100,000 donation to help establish Get Up to the Registered Organisations Commission. Now, Mr Shorten was Secretary of the AWU's Victorian and national branches at the time of both donations and allegedly engineered both donations. Now, the Registered Organisations Commission has been asked to investigate whether the donations were properly authorised. Under AWU rules, any loan, grant or donation of more than $1,000 must be approved by the AWU's National Executive. The AWU National Executive apparently passed a resolution in November 2006 giving Mr Shorten the power to donate money to his political campaign. But it remains unclear whether the $25,000 donation was specifically approved by the National Executive. Furthermore, the AWU took 14 months to file, as it's required to do, a late amended acknowledgement of the $25,000 donation with the Australian Electoral Commission. Now, the AWU has also been unable to provide any documentation confirming that the earlier $100,000 donation to Get Up was approved by its National Executive. Bill Shorten is refusing to answer questions about either of these donations, which also raise conflict of interest issues. Did Mr Shorten declare a conflict of interest when, as AWU National Secretary, he allegedly directed union members' money to his personal electoral campaign? Did he declare a conflict of interest when, in the same capacity, he allegedly directed union members' funds to Get Up, an outfit of which he was an original board member? These are the issues the Registered Organisations Commission will investigate. The Commission is the new federal authority set up to ensure greater union accountability. It was established at the same time as the Australian Building and Construction Commission was reinstated under government legislation passed late last year. It was conceived in the wake of the Hayden Royal Commission into the unions. Its purpose is to ensure that unions are answerable to their members in the same way as corporations are accountable to shareholders. A company director can't spend shareholders' money without proper written, minuted authorisation. Why should a union boss such as Bill Shorten be any different? Mr Shorten could also face renewed public scrutiny over his role as a union boss following the passage of the Fair Work Amendment Corruption Benefits Bill through Parliament last week. Now, this bill makes it a criminal offence to give, receive, offer or solicit any benefit to or from a union official. What's that mean? Well, it outlaws all financial transactions between employers and unions other than legitimate transactions for fair market value. Now, breaches of the Act result in possible jail sentences and attract fines of up to $5.25 million for companies and over $1 million for individuals. Now, Malcolm Turnbull said last week if this legislation had been enforced when Mr Shorten ran the AWU, Mr Shorten would probably have been jailed. Now, that may be a long and emotive bow, but during Mr Shorten's reign at the AWU, any number of companies forked out hundreds of thousands of dollars to the AWU. As AWU Victorian Branch Secretary, Mr Shorten in 1998, 2004 and 2006 signed off on enterprise agreements with the cleaning company Clean Event, which deprived Clean Event's employees of penalty rates and conditions. Under the 1998 Clean Event Enterprise Agreement, the pay rates of 5,000 workers were halved. Employees were not paid penalty rates and their overtime was capped. Under the subsequent 2004 Enterprise Agreement, workers' pay rates were reduced from $50.17 an hour to $18.14 an hour. A cleaner working a 38-hour week, including a weekend, was about $100 a week worse off than he or she would have been under the award, earning $637 a week as opposed to $586 a week. Now, these deals were rolled over in 2006 and 2010. Scope all that out, and you've got 5,000 workers between 1998 and 2011 losing a total of $420 million in wages, penalty rates and leave loadings. Naturally, Clean Event also had obligations under these agreements. Oh yes, it paid the AWU $25,000 a year, sent the AWU a list of its employees, and even paid the union fees of those employees. And those new members helped the AWU bulk up its membership, secure extra votes on the AWU's national body, and ultimately influence the selection of ALP candidates. In 2005, Mr Shorten signed another enterprise agreement with Thiess John Holland, which similarly removed workers' rostering and weekend work conditions. In return, Thiess, of course, paid the AWU $300,000. The global chemical company Huntsman paid the AWU under Mr Shorten $309,000 to act as a workplace change facilitator. Visy paid the AWU under Mr Shorten $188,000. IUS Holdings forked out $566,000. The list goes on and on. Then there's the notorious 2003 AWU Chiquita Mushrooms enterprise bargaining deal, negotiated under Mr Shorten's leadership. The AWU encouraged mushroom growing company Chiquita Mushrooms to sack hundreds of its permanent workers and then rehire them as temporary workers on lower wages via a labour hire outfit called One Force. Chiquita was told One Force, which had no other clients apart from Chiquita, was union friendly. In return for its AWU recommendation, One Force made sure all the casual workers it provided to Chiquita were AWU members. And between 2003 and 2013, when One Force collapsed, One Force paid more than $150,000 to the AWU as membership income, union fees and God knows what else. As I said, this kind of behaviour, all sanctioned by Mr Shorten, had it occurred today, may have landed Mr Shorten in very hot water under the provisions of the newly enacted Fair Work Amendment Corruption Benefits Bill. Industrial relations in Australia have been corrupted for decades by employer payments to unions for no legitimate reason, with taxpayers and consumers ultimately picking up the tab. Sometimes these deals are cosy agreements between big employers and big unions. Sometimes employers are simply held to ransom by unions. Now, Mr Shorten can't resile from his past, which the media, for whatever reason, has pretty much chosen to ignore since he became opposition leader. All that could change in an instant, depending on how these latest referrals are treated by the Registered Organisations Commission. It might be a little early for Mr Shorten to be measuring up the curtains for the lodge. Only the coalition, though, can save itself. The next election is winnable. There has to be a change of leadership and a change of policies.